It's a nice movie for right now, because uh it's almost like a dessert movie. Steve, are you in Canada?
I'm in Toronto.
Toronto, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Tito.
Have you been to Toronto?
I made a little picture there called How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
I didn't realize that was shot here. Okay.
Almost the entire thing. There's a couple of shots where, like, one shot where we're in New York City walking down the street. This is when movies used to have unlimited resources. So sometimes they'd be like, yeah, we're going to shoot one scene walking down the street in New York City just for real. But the vast majority of that movie is was in Toronto,
I'm gonna have to
which
take a look. I have to take a look at that one again. My wife and I love that movie, so this is
so beautiful. We went out to the little islands you have there on one of my days off. Got to see the legendary Toronto nude beach, which
Oh, you
was
did?
yeah, no, oh no, I went and saw it. Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
a it's a thing.
That's
It is
one way to
definitely.
lose a guy in 10 days right there. That's it, right?
You could lose a lot of older fellas. You could actually probably lose them even faster than that out there at the old Toronto nude beach.
It is what we're known for. When people
It
think
is
of
the
Toronto,
number one thing. When people always ask me about Toronto, I'm like, what's the number one thing? I'm like, don't miss the nude beach. It is way closer to town than you think. It's right
it's
there. Yep. It's one of my favorite little secrets about Toronto. Not really a secret, but a fun surprise. It's a fun surprise about Toronto.
it's not in our brochure. Let's put it that way. When
Uh, Not if I ran things. Anyway, Chosen Family out October
Joseph
11th. Everywhere you can see a movie picture, everywhere you can see one, let's say.
uh,
Yeah.
it's so much fun, Thomas. It's so much fun. It's a real privilege to chat with you. First of all, I love your work, and this film is just so much fun.
It's a nice movie for right now, because uh it's almost like a dessert movie, if you know what I mean. It's not like, it's not, it doesn't feel this movie does not feel like homework in any way. Uh for me, to being this was uh fun because this is my second Heather Graham movie. So I'm also in Heather's first big feature, which was called Half Magic with Molly Shannon and Angela Kinsey and a bunch of folks, and it was Stephanie Beatriz, and that is also a great, really fun romantic comedy. And it's just fun. She's a great laugher. She's a funny person. She's got a very funny vibe and like comedy, and it's fun for me to be in a place where it's like, you know, you this will it be the biggest movie ever made? No. Will it be both super fun to make and then a fun movie when it's done? Yes. It's like it's just sort of it's one of my favorite ways to be coming up out of like sketch comedy, in the state. Like this is probably even a smaller movie than people could imagine because it looks and ends up you look at the trailer, you're like, oh, this looks like a big sort of like big normal studio romantic comedy. But this is actually a very, very, very small indie, that just because it looks so nice, and I think because some of the people in it are very beautiful.
Well, it's a great cast too. Like not just you as well. It's a phenomenal cast across the board.
It's a fun bunch, and my favorite is the rivalry between Heather and the daughter of John Brotherton's character. Just is a something I hadn't quite seen in a movie, and certainly not like played to that level of like this total adult woman who is losing a competition to like a 10-year-old is played in a way that I thought was very funny.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Heather's great in it, and like you said she this is her second film, not just directing but writing as well, which I think is really exciting.
Yeah, it's as a writer and also it's like, if you can get 1 out of 10 of the movies that you write made, that's a very good ratio.
Yeah.
You're going 1 for 10 on writing a movie that gets made, you're doing very well in the movie business. If you went 1 for 10 in any other business other than the movie business, you would be grossly incompetent and removed from your position. But movies is a different kind of racket. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know what? I love the theme of this film too. Of course, a film called Chosen Family, but this balance of her being torn between the struggle of her own family and those who are her chosen one. And I was wondering, from your perspective, how do we balance those two things, the family we have and the family we choose?
Yeah, to me it's interesting because I picked a really I came from a somewhat intense family. My sister and I are very, very close still. And currently we even live a couple blocks away from each other. But my chosen family, basically I picked weirdly very early. I'm not sure if everybody does this. It's hard for me to tell because so when I was 18, when I was 16, I met Carrie Kenny. Carrie, of course, plays Trudy Weigel on Reno 911.
Mhm.
And we've now had three TV series together and unlimited pilots that did not get picked up, like lots. So like we picked each other pretty young, and then Carrie and I both were in the state, which got together when we were all 18 years old. And I'll go ahead and say that like we're all in our mid 50s now. So, and we're still on tour, so like the state is still booking new dates. We did a lot of dates last year and we're going to do probably way more next year. So it's like um it's interesting that yeah. Now, I don't know, in some ways I think the movie's like, well, you pick the chosen family because there's less drama and it's not always as intense as like the familial bonds that can be, very sort of topsy-turvy and run hot emotionally. But the fact of the matter is if your chosen family is a comedy group, it's basically the exact same thing. It's as hard, you fight as much or more. There's a lot of tears and a lot of screaming, and definitely people throw chairs every once in a while and
In a
gets real
comedy
bad.
troupe? No, that's
1,000,000%. Oh, the state people put their punch to the wall sometimes. The state fought it, but we really fought hard about our material. We're all still crazy in love with each other, but we function exactly like a somewhat slightly dysfunctional family, except that we've spent way more time with each other than any real family. Way more. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's true. That's true. It is funny to think of that.
Oh yeah.
When you're working together, you do end up spending way more time than
Way more time. Yeah, you got to be careful who your chosen family is, actually. You could be stuck with them for, and again, this is high class problems, but you could be stuck with them for a very long time. Yeah.
well, it's funny one of the things too about this film and with Heather's character, she talks about breaking the patterns.
Mm.
And with the idea of chosen family, um, the idea is, it's funny you say you could be with them a long time, but you're hopefully choosing people that are, a healthier sphere, but we still carry those patterns. I was wondering, in your mind, what does it take to break them?
Yeah, that's a great, great question because, you know, sometimes we do, like I know for me, like I definitely was raised in a way that like, didn't get didn't get like overly complimented on things you were doing. There was always like a little like, okay, like, and I'm sure in some ways I sort of seek that out. It's like it's I because most people who are actors, it's like they want or need some sort of constant reassurance that they're doing okay. you know like they just it's like. And I remember I did just like sort of, recreating my family experience in work. I was lucky enough to be cast in Sean Hayes's like one of the middle Sean Hayes shows called Sean Saves the World, and James Burrows directed it, the most legendary director of all time of television. And uh, it was very much like a me and my dad kind of relationship where I was just like it was like 10 days of shooting, and like by the ninth day, he had never said almost anything to me at all, Burroughs. And at a certain point, I just had to that like crazy, the super insecure actor. I had to say like, "Hey, Jimmy, like anything? Is there anything I should?" And he said, "Oh, no, you're killing it. You're killing it." I was like, "Oh," and I started crying. I just walked away because I kind of started crying. But I was like, "It's interesting, sometimes we seek out like the to you know replace the relationship with a different like picked relationship of something that we're either used to or trying to change for sure." But um, that felt very much like I was like, "Oh, this was just my entire childhood." It was like nothing, 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 nothing. Yeah, good job. You're pretty good. It was like, oh, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, honestly, I know we're running out of time, Thomas, but I just wanted before we go, what do you hope people take away from Chosen Family?
I think it's, to me, this is it's a light movie, but it's about, it's about, uh, you know, picking picking positive people around you who elevate you to be the happiest version of yourself, I think is what the movie's really about. And what's nice about that is that Heather Graham actually is that, and so like the movie is like sort of a microcosm of at least my relationship with her now in these last two movies, which is she does pick people and then create a great atmosphere around and be, she's an overwhelmingly positive person who sort of elevates you to be at least, sort of the happiest version of yourself. Um, so it's yeah, it's about pick people that lift you up is I think probably what it's mostly about. Yeah. Seems like a good time for that to come out.
Yeah. And we need it now more than ever.
Seems like it. Yeah.
Um, Thomas, honestly, it is such a joy to speak with you. I really appreciate the chat.
Pleasure.
Have a
You know,
great.
weather's still pretty nice. You could get out there right now. You could be out there.
Down
You
to
could be.
the beach.
It is still pretty nice out there in Tito, I believe.
It was
I
unseasonably warm this week, so
see.
there you
Mhm.
go.
Okay, send pics.
You don't
Send
want that, my friend.
send pics.
Thanks so much, Thomas. Have a great day.
But
Bye bye.
like